Other countries are ruthless. So their competitors are hardened. Their competitors are well prepared for the ruthlessness of the fan base and the judging table in a way that a lot of European nations and a lot of Miss USA competitors are not prepared because they've never faced a harsh word in their life. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am the Sovereign, and this is my court. Please consider hitting the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on all the fun. I warned you. So this is a topic that I said that I was going to do. I said this a while ago, and I think it's something that needs to be discussed. We're here having pageant discussions today. So in the United States specifically, trust me, this is going to pertain to the entire world, but I think the United States is the best example of what we're going to talk about. So I am going to use us specifically to discuss this. In the United States, you can see a tangible shift in the type of competitors that we see on Miss USA stages. And of course, a tangible shift in the winners themselves. For the past, 5 years, we've suddenly had a surge of not only Black women competitors, but Black women competing. And a lot of people question as to why. Some people think that it has something to do with the Great Awakening that happened in 2020, which honestly, I'm going to tell you that's not the reason. And this is why I want to discuss it in the context of the entire world, because even though the United States is the most obvious shift that we can see, it's actually been a worldwide thing that is happening. As I said, not just in the United States, but all over the world, we have seen a wider range of different types of competitors from different backgrounds, different nationalities, ethnicities. We've seen it happen in Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, not just the United States. Even in Canada, we're seeing many more different types and renditions of women come to the stage, which is great. That's what Miss Universe is always supposed to be. It's supposed to be like 31 flavors ice creams, right? We're supposed to be able to see the entire range of what the world has to offer and show what women are. There's such a wide range of various types of women for our eyes to feast upon. We should always have this range of diversity. But this sudden shift has a lot of people scratching their heads as to why. And there's lots of accusations of maybe it's favoritism or certain women are winning because pushes in diversity and they want a diverse winner, which is why certain women are winning. And once again, that's not the reason. Like I said, this discussion pertains to the entire world, but I am going to use the United States specifically as an example. So in the United States, prior to 2020, there was this undercover notion amongst Black women, the Black pageant community, Black girls, period, that not only is it very difficult to be crowned, even in a state capacity, the notion was that the United States was only willing to crown ethnically diverse contestants every so few years, like every 5 years, they'd be like, oh, we need to, have a Black queen, have an Asian queen, have, some sort of ethnic queen to maintain the semblance of diversity. There was always this underlying feeling amongst the minority community in the United States that it was going to be harder for you specifically than any other woman in the United States to be crowned because you were different, because you were outside of the normal beauty standard. There is a saying in the Black community that Black women specifically a lot of the times are taught when we're young.
Did I not raise you for better? How many times have I told you you have to be what? You have to be what?
Twice.
What?
Twice as good.
Twice as good as them to get half of what they have. Do you have to be so mediocre?
And it's that we're going to have to be twice as good as anybody that we're up against for anything, whether it be pageantry or even just a job, any type of position. We have to be twice as good as everybody else in order to even have a chance at getting whatever position that we're vying for. That was something that I was taught when I was very young. And it is because we are aware as ethnic minorities that there is an inherent bias against us. There's an inherent prejudice against us that forces us to have to try and prove ourselves in order to get the same accommodations, the same treatment as everyone else. Now, this same mentality can be applied to anybody who is different, anybody who is outside of the normal beauty standard or standard for anything. They understand that inherently there's going to be some sort of bias against them. Inherently, people aren't going to look at them the same or treat them the same. So they have to try harder in order to prove themselves. And it is for this reason that we have suddenly seen a surge in women that don't necessarily fit the beauty standard suddenly becoming reigning queens and going on to win major titles. It's because these women came into competition knowing that they're going to have to fight, knowing that they're going to have to do anything and everything to prove themselves to be a winner. They are willing to lay down their lives. They're willing to uproot themselves. They're willing to put everything on the line. They're willing to eat, sleep, and breathe competition because they feel like they have something to prove. Now, like I said, this doesn't just apply to being an ethnic minority or just to Black women. We've seen this level of conviction and dedication come from women like Emma Looney, or this lovely woman that I have seen in many different competitions throughout the years. These two women do not fit what people stereotypically think of a pageant queen, but they have become extremely loved in the pageant world, pageant community, and they've done very well for themselves despite the fact that they are outside of the standard norm. The reason that we see women like this doing so well is because they know they have to fight. Women like this who are considered outsiders, they're not the standard, they know that people aren't going to be the kindest to them. They know that people aren't necessarily going to uplift them. They know that they're going to face a lot of adversity and opponents to them reigning or their representation. They are prepared for war and they're willing to fight the battles. You have to understand that women like this have been told their entire lives a lot of the time that they're not worthy or they don't have a chance. They've been told that they're not going to make it very far. They've been told the worst things in the world to try to bring them down, and they have survived that, and they've learned how to thrive under that pressure. Women like this know how to deal with pageant pressure because they've lived through it, because they've sustained it their entire lives. They've had to fight their whole lives in order to be accepted in any world. So when they step on a pageant stage, they have a superior level of confidence because they've been told their whole lives, you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not enough to make this happen. They've been through it all. They've been tortured. They've been demeaned. They faced it all and pushed through it. So at this point, there's nothing that's going to bring them down. Emma Looney, I'm sure, has had people call her all types of names, say a whole bunch of things to her, a whole bunch of nasty things to her. And she knows how to handle it. She knows how to not listen to it. And she owns who she is and is unbothered and unfazed by what other people think of her because she's been through it all. She's sustained it all. She knows how to weather the storm and power through it. And she has that confidence that she has built. This is in a stark contrast to the women who are standard beauties. The women who have been told their whole lives, oh my God, you're so gorgeous. Oh my God, you're so beautiful. You should enter a pageant. Oh my God, she's stunning. Women that have been told that they're beautiful, perfect, and wonderful their entire lives have never had to fight for anything. They don't know what adversity feels like. They don't know what it means or what it feels like to be even given any criticism. They've never heard criticism before, which is why when they step onto like a pageant stage, they typically aren't as good as the other women who are not typical standard beauties, because the women who aren't typical standard beauties, they're putting in the work. They have work ethic, they have diligence because they have something to prove. The other girls who are super beautiful, super wonderful, they're gorgeous, they're stereotypical, like model-esque angels. They've never put in the work because they've never had to. They've never had to fight. A lot of women sometimes feel like their beauty is enough to just step on a pageant stage and win. And since they've never been told otherwise, they've never been forced to fight, they don't know what that means. And that's another thing that honestly, this is something that I really only get from the United States because Other pageant nations are really ruthless when it comes to their competition, like Venezuela. But in the United States, these stereotypical beauties, right? I'm talking like these 6 foot tall, beautiful, slender blondes who have been told their whole lives that they're everything in a bag of chips. The moment you give them criticism, it breaks them. They shatter like the most fragile crystal. They cannot mentally sustain criticism. And the reason is because they've never come in contact with that before. They've been told their whole life they're perfect. They've been told their whole life they're beautiful. They've basically been told, oh, this pageant's going to be a walk in the park for you because you're the best looking girl I've ever seen. And so when you give them criticism for the first time in their lives, they don't know how to handle it. They cannot grasp the context. They take it personally. Not only are they not used to criticism, they're not used to any adversity whatsoever because life has come so easy to them. Even if they're going to step into an interview room and they're facing off against a table of judges asking them questions, sometimes they just don't have the confidence to stand up to that type of energy, someone questioning them, someone, being direct with them. Because sometimes these women are just so used to people falling down in front of them, so used to people just loving them, just worshiping them out of the blue simply because they look so beautiful, simply because, they are who they are. And this is something that I've witnessed specifically in the United States. We will have some gorgeous, beautiful, angelic queens who, in my opinion, when I see them, they don't have a lick of confidence. They like to feign that they have confidence. Okay, they'll pretend that they do. But when you see them on stage, you can kind of tell that it's more of a performance. It's more of an act. It's not something real because they've been beautiful their whole lives. They're just relying on their looks. They've never had to fight. And then you get these women who are so different, who are so outside of the norm, who are so unlike everybody else. And they step on stage with all the confidence in the world because they've been told every negative thing under the sun their whole lives that they could give a damn. They don't care. They flaunt and flex in the face of danger. They could care less. And like I said, this is something that I've seen worldwide. We've seen a surge in diversity coming from the women from the Philippines. I'm starting to see different versions of Filipinas. And the same thing for Thailand and Vietnam. We're seeing different women. And a lot of the times the women who are not standard stereotypical beauties are coming out with some of the feistiest, fiercest, most technically proficient performances. And the reason that these women have it is because they have something to prove. It's because they know the fan base isn't going to support them. It's because they know that they have to be twice as good as every other person in order to get a chance to be the queen, the winner, the best. And I wanted to discuss this not to say that some of the more privileged, standard beauty queens should have to suffer or be demeaned to develop their confidence, but hopefully gain a little bit of knowledge and learn from the women who have developed this superior confidence because they've been put in a position that has been undervalued. They've been underprivileged. They know what it is to work and fight for what they want. It gives a little bit of context to those women who have never been put in this position because you need to understand what you're up against. Some women, especially in Western and European nations, I watch them come on stage and I'm like, where's the fight? Where's the ferocity? Why are you even here when it looks like you're not even trying? It really seems like sometimes women just step on stages expecting to win because they're pretty. And that's it. And I see it a lot happen, specifically in Western nations. I'm pretty, I'm cute, I'm wonderful. I've been told I'm the best my whole life. I should be able to step on this stage and win no problem. I don't need coaching. I don't need, to learn facial movements, emotion, evening gown walks, nothing. I'm pretty and that's all I need. And I'm just like, I feel like if queens see what these other women are going through and have put themselves through in order to be here, maybe you'll learn to put in that same amount of effort. Maybe you'll learn from these women what it means to truly be confident, because I think a lot of women think that they're confident. But honestly and truly, true confidence is knowing and accepting the fact that not everybody's going to like you. Understanding that no matter what you do, somebody out there is not going to like you. Confidence is just being okay with that. It's being okay with that. That's what that is. The women who are outside of the normal standard of beauty, They know that people aren't going to support them sometimes. They know that they're considered outsiders. They know that they're not going to get the same level of treatment as the other pretty girls, the standard beauties. They know that. And they're still going to walk on this stage and flex and flaunt and show you why they're the best. Knowing that people are going to boo them. They're going to step on this stage and show, this is why I'm the best and this is why I deserve to be crowned. And a lot of women have never had to do that before. A lot of women, the standard beauties, have never faced that adversity. They've never faced an unkind word. They've never faced any sort of criticism. They've never faced it. And because they don't have that built-in strength that these other women do, this is why we've seen such a surge of diversity and atypical beauties being crowned, persevering unto even international crowns. During the Trump era of Miss Universe, it truly was more of a beauty contest. They really were looking at the facial structure and beauty and elegance, grace and poise, the picturesqueness, the Barbie-esqueness of the women. But in the IMG era, what they do care about is a unique, personable, truly confident woman. You cannot fake it on these pageant status. IMG wants a fighter. IMG needs a woman who is going to bear public scrutiny and remain undamaged mentally. They want a woman that can mentally survive a year under public pressure. The atypical queens have lived under public pressure pretty much their entire lives. Like I said, Emma Looney, I've heard her in interviews and whatnot. I've seen her comment section. I know what people have said to her. She has gone through it even off of pageant stages, so she knows how to deal with the pressure, and it really doesn't bother her anymore. A lot of the Black title holders, they know that people are going to look down upon them, especially in the United States, where now that we've had so many African-American queens or dark-skinned queens, people are really pulling them down because they want a different type of beauty. So they're going to have to try even harder. These women are willing to fight, eat, sleep, and breathe pageantry. This is the type of dedication that we aren't necessarily seeing from the other women. Those beautiful blue-eyed blondes that we love, those Slenderesque tall beauties that are just gorgeous and have been told they're beautiful their entire lives. They don't know what it means to fight. They don't know what it means to be a true competitor. They've never been put through the ringer. So it's really hard for them to grasp the concept of being truly confident, of being truly powerful, of actually fighting when they've never had to throw a punch in their life.
I also think it is integral for Western competing women to understand, especially when you are venturing into international waters and international competition, that a lot of these women are coming from third world countries. This is not their hobby. This is their future and the future of their family, their livelihood. This is all of their hopes and dreams and potential for the rest of their lives. They are staking their very fortune and future on their placement and this competition.
And like I said, I want this to be more of a learning type of thing for the more standard beauty queens, the more privileged women who haven't had to struggle. I'm not saying you need to struggle in order to understand or develop true confidence, but I want you to understand where these other women's power and confidence is coming from so that you can learn. These other women know how to power through adversity. They know how to take criticism. They have survived people coming at them in any ugly type of way. And that's the type of adversity that every pageant queen needs to be prepared to tolerate and deal with. And that's the type of fight. The fight of the atypical beauty queens is the same type of fight that I would love to see from every beauty queen around the world. You cannot come into pageantry and coast on your pretty princess looks. You cannot come into pageantry anywhere in the world and coast in because you're a 6 foot tall model. It takes work and dedication. And until these other places, other women figure this out, you are going to continuously get ran over by the women who are willing to put in more work, even when you think that they're not as pretty as you, because I've had discussions about that before. It's not all about looks, because if all you're bringing to stage, to competition, is your pretty looks, you're going to lose. I tweeted that a long, long time ago. These women bring true confidence, true dedication. Nothing I, you, me, the entire pageant world could say about them could bring them down. Any criticism that these women get, they use it as a boost to their advantage to improve. I really think that this type of fight is what's missing from European nations like Great Britain and Ireland and Finland and Belgium. This is the type of fight and dedication that is missing from a lot of European nations and a lot of Miss USA competitors. They have never faced adversity, and then they go into international competition up against some of the most ruthless women in the world. Vietnam, Venezuela, Philippines, Thailand, Colombia. Those women have faced adversity. Those women have faced coaches that are way harsher than I would ever even be comfortable being. I've watched Venezuelan competitors be dissected on their actual body parts, tape measures taken to their butt, legs, hips, and thighs to see if they're even willing to train certain competitors. Other countries are ruthless, so their competitors are hardened. Their competitors are well prepared for the ruthlessness of the fan base and the judging table in a way that a lot of European nations and a lot of Miss USA competitors are not prepared because they've never faced a harsh word in their life. And so it is for this reason that these hardened competitors who have had to fight through life and persist onto a pageant stage, bring that fight into competition and inevitably win. It's because they know what it means to fight. It's because they know what it means to be truly confident. They will not and did not let anything and anyone bring them down. They fought their way to victory, and I'm really hoping that through discussing this, other more privileged women who have never had to face that fight, who have never had to face that adversity, can at least take something from this and understand what it truly means and what it truly takes to be a pageant queen. You have to show up with more than just a pretty face and a smile. It takes a monumental amount of work. Simply being prettier than another woman isn't going to give you really anything but an El Tacuyo crown. I'm sure this video is going to resonate with everyone who witnessed a while ago the video I did when it came to Miriam Habash critiquing Sierra Burchell and questioning Sierra's placement above her in the Miss Universe pageant, because Sierra Burchell at the time was outside of the stereotype that was a pageant queen. That instance really showcases what I'm saying in this video, and hopefully this also gives an explanation to everybody in the United States who is so concerned about the surge of African American queens being crowned in Miss USA. Those women know that you don't want to crown them, which is only going to make them try that much harder to prove you wrong. And they're gonna have to do it again this year because once again, we're working up to a Miss USA competition, and we have had several African-American queens up until this point. So those women feel the pressure even more on their backs because they know that a lot of people have a bias against them. A lot of people do not want to crown yet another African-American queen. So those women coming up in competition are only going to try that much harder because for whatever reason, it's okay to crown 10 blondes back to back, but everybody loses their mind over an African-American queen. But okay. In the comment section below, let me know what you think about our little pageant discussion here. Has this brought anything to light for you? Were you one of the people that were questioning some of the placements of past queens before? You're like, well, this woman isn't a standard typical beauty. How is she making it this far? Like, what is she doing to make the judges love her? Has this opened your eyes? Tell us what you think about this discussion. And you Miss USA fans, I know that you guys can clearly see what I'm talking about when it comes to United States because we see the atypical queens coming out hot and heavy, and our standard Model-esque girls are giving us nothing on stage. I know that we've been discussing this instance amongst ourselves, but tell me how you feel out in the open. We're talking about it now, about Miss USA specifically, and how there's such a stark contrast between the different types of women. We have these beautiful women in Miss USA who have no ferocity, no fierceness, no fight whatsoever. And then we have the other girls who are shorter, who may be a little bit more thick, or who are black, and they're just given everything salsa and a bag of chips. it's like night and day and it's crazy. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Give the video a thumbs up. And remember, I love you. I'll miss you, but you know I will be back in a future video. Bye.